walk through a little bit on the background of the Big Build strategy, what we have been working on from a housing perspective for a number of years now in Otter Tail County. And then we have a guest today joining us from Otter Tail Power to talk about some energy resources available for residential projects. We'll walk through some home buyer supports, help folks get into a home ownership position. So walk through a new resource from the state of Minnesota through Minnesota Housing, as well as our local Otter Tail County program for down payment assistance. And we'll be highlighting a project that we've been working on directly through Otter Tail County in Pelican Rapids. And certainly we'll have time for Q&A and questions and other discussion throughout as well. And certainly feel free to use the chat. We'll try to monitor that if there's any questions, or raise your hand if you have a question. With the hand raise button is usually the best way to get connected with the group we have on today. So as mentioned, we have the Big Build initiative, which was launched back in, late 2019. So it's been a number of years now, but we still remain focused on these 4 action areas that are being shown on the screen. So as we look at housing investment, thinking about certainly the increase to the construction of new units, but thinking about that across the spectrum of housing needs. So what that might look like for different household types and at different income levels of those households. We also work a lot to build partnership and expand capacity of our nonprofits, private developers, community partners, everyone across the board to make sure we're working together and as efficiently and effectively as we can to address our housing challenges. Our third area that we work on is working to seek funding, outside funding, to help make these projects work in Otter Tail County, to bring that investment into Otter Tail County that might be available from a statewide perspective, and making sure we're leveraging those resources for needs that are here in Otter Tail County. And then finally, advocating for increase to that funding and specifically sharing what the challenges are from our perspective, so that new programs and or additional funding that might be going into a program, that the guidelines and the program criteria really do meet the needs that we're seeing, the challenges and the gaps, and from a financial perspective can be met with the new programs and new investments that might be available from the state or federal level. So that's how we kind of frame out our work as we think about how can we support housing investment, is through those 4 action areas. So with that, I will introduce Lori Moxness, who is the Manager of Energy Management at Otter Tail Power. And Lori is going to be walking through some of the resources and some new areas that Otter Tail Power has available for energy, around energy for residential and housing projects. I will share this is being recorded, and as well we'll share the slide deck, so you'll be able to access its information. So don't worry about taking frantic notes if there's something that's of interest to you on the slides that Lori will be walking through here. So with that, I'll turn it over to Lori.
Well, hello everybody. Good afternoon. As Amy said, I'm Lori Moxness with Otter Tail Power, the manager of our energy management department. So I'm just going to try to give you a nice little overview of our rebate programs and incentives that are available. I'll go through the content pretty quickly, but feel free to reach out to Otter Tail Power if you have any questions afterwards. She can share my email address, what have you. So next slide. Just to give you a high-level overview, currently we serve North Dakota, Minnesota, and South Dakota. Majority of our customers are in North Dakota and Minnesota. We serve over 133,000 customers, 422 communities with an average population of just over 400 people. We have a wide range of generation from wind, natural gas, coal, combustion, solar, and hydroelectric. And we have over 70,000 square miles of line. We have 9,500 miles of line across 70,000 square miles. Let me rephrase that. All right, next slide. This just shows you a little bit about our population. We don't need to spend a lot of time here. Let's go ahead to the next slide. Just showing you a little bit of how our energy generation mix has changed over the years. There's a lot of push for electrification from the federal government. You know, just 20 years ago, 68% of our generation was coal, and now less than 25% of our generation is coal. Wind and solar are making up more and more of the generation mix. And along with renewable energy, which is great for the environment, it comes with some challenges. If we could move to the next slide. Some things that people should be aware of is that we offer energy conservation programs in North Dakota and Minnesota. Those are programs that are mandated by the Public Utilities Commission in each state that we do business. North Dakota does not currently support or promote a conservation program. Their philosophy is quite different than that of Minnesota. You can imagine, since they have coal and we have a power plant that burns North Dakota coal, they would like to see us burn more coal for their economic reasons. So this just gives you a little bit of an idea of last year, Minnesota customers saved over 50,000 megawatt hours due to conservation. And the advantage of having conservation programs is not just making things more affordable for our customer, but anything we can do to save energy keeps us from having to invest into infrastructure, building new generation, and that helps keep our cost lower. So we encourage participation in energy efficiencies, and we incentivize customers for doing so in the states that allow us to offer rebate programs. Go to the next slide. So the challenges that I mentioned earlier is baseload generation. Dispatchable load can be a challenge. You know, we've got to be nimble and capable of swiftly adapting as energy demand fluctuates and the market conditions change. And that's really hard with wind and solar because it's not dispatchable. We can't make the wind blow anymore or the sun shine any brighter. So we still have to have dispatchable energy such as our Astoria natural gas plant, which uses 85% less carbon and no sulfur dioxide or mercury emissions than what our previous coal-fired plant at Hoot Lake Station did. Next slide, please. So now getting into the rebates incentives, the reason that you're here. We offer rebates and incentives to residential, commercial, and industrial customers for LED lighting, adjustable speed drives, motors, compressed air, refrigeration, heat pumps, electric equipment such as electric snow blowers, electric lawnmowers, leaf blowers, weed trimmers. We have home insulation and window rebates. The insulation rebate is only for retrofitting an existing home, not for new construction, but the window rebate is for new construction. We rebate smart thermostats, Energy Star electric appliances, electric heating technologies, electric vehicle charging stations, thermal storage heating, and water heaters. And you know, our website, this is a great resource for you, is otpco.com/mywaystosave. You can find all of our rebate programs and rebate forms there. Should you be investing in any of these energy efficiency technologies. Next slide, please. So one of the things we offer is an auditing service called our Home Transformer Program. And it's a limited number of assessments annually. And it's a free energy assessment that includes a blower door test that will help determine the tightness of your home. We do thermal imaging analysis. And then we give a detailed report in showing you ways that you could improve your home's efficiency and estimate energy cost savings. Besides that, you will receive free LED light bulbs, outlet gaskets, window caulking, weather stripping, low flow shower head, faucet aerators, pipe insulation, a really fancy power strip, and a door sweep. So to qualify for that, you have to use electricity as your primary source of heat and water heating, be an Otter Tail Power customer, You need to be present when the audit is done or have someone at least 18 years or older. And you have to be in good financial standing with us for the last 12 months, live in Minnesota, and have not already had an energy audit in the past 5 years. Moving ahead. So new construction lighting rebates, we offer a fixed cost rebate per fixture. So for example, if you were installing a bunch of canister or what they call recessed lights in your ceiling and they were all less than 30 watts, you would receive a rebate of $15 per fixture, regardless of if they're a 10 watt, a 20 watt, or a 29 watt. It'd be $15 a piece. As the wattage goes up, the rebate also goes up. The rebate is slightly less for outdoor lighting. The reason for that is that the energy is less expensive during the nighttime hours than it is during daytime hours. So that's why we can't offer as high of a rebate during those times. So this just gives you an idea of what the new construction lighting rebates look like. Go ahead. We also offer retrofit rebates. So if you have an existing facility, home, business, what have you, we can do a retrofit rebate. For example, if you have a 4-foot fluorescent fixture that uses 32 watts and you go down to a 15-watt fixture, you're saving 17 watts and you would receive a rebate of 60 cents per watt saved for every lamp that you replaced. So that's a rebate of $10.20 per lamp, just to give you an example. Go ahead. Oh, you might have to tab through a few. Okay, we can go ahead. I've already covered this. Go ahead. This is just giving you an idea of a simple payback. So say a particular structure, we estimated the energy savings to be $593 annually. And the project cost was $2,850. The rebate was $1,555. Final cost, $1,294.80 with a simple payback of just over 2 years. So it's real easy for us to help customers determine if it makes sense for them to be doing these kinds of projects, and we can help you with that as well. Go ahead. We also offer heating and cooling rebates. So for Energy Star air conditioners, it's $100 per unit. For a standard air source heat pump, there's $300 per ton. A cold climate ductless heat pump is $600 a ton. That's often referred to as a mini split. A cold climate ducted heat pump is $800 a ton. An air to water heat pump, also $800 a ton. And for residential geothermal, it's $1,200 per ton. If you have a preheated domestic hot water geothermal, there's a $210 a ton bonus. And if it's on energy control, there's also a $40 per ton bonus. And there's also, can we go to the next slide? Here is where it shows. If we look at the second section, the bottom graph or the bottom table, we have geothermal, whether it's a geothermal or a regular ducted or unducted mini or heat pump, you get the rebate per ton. If you have a quality installer put it in, there's an additional $200 per ton rebate. If they add the domestic desuperheater on this geothermal, another $200. Energy control is $40. $1,640 a ton rebate on this particular example for geothermal. And I can tell you in the past, geothermal has really kind of been looked at as the Cadillac and significantly more expensive than traditional heating and cooling systems. But we're finding with the federal tax credits, the Inflation Reduction Act, there is at least a 30% tax credit for geothermal on top of our rebate program. And if they're in the Fergus Falls area or in what's called an energy community, there's a 10% bonus for being in an energy community as well. And we're seeing geothermal to be very competitively priced, and it is about 400% efficient versus a traditional gas furnace with a central air conditioning system being at just under 100% efficient. Go ahead. And if anybody has questions, feel free to interrupt to ask questions anytime. Another new rebate this year is what's called a residential maintenance tune-up. If you have a central air conditioner, it's $75 a unit. Heat pump is $150. So this would allow you to have your contractor come in, do a coil cleaning, refrigeration charge check, air filter cleaning, airflow measurement. And if you turn in the invoice for that, along with the manufacturer and model information, which you'll have on your rebate form, we will then rebate $150 for that unit, and we can do that once every 10 years. Next slide. Residential smart thermostat rebate. We offer, if you have cooling only, $35 is the rebate for a tier 2, $100 if you have electric heat. A tier 3 is a $50 rebate, $150 if you have electric heat. And a line voltage is also a tier 3, and that's where you have more like baseboard heat, where they can interrupt line voltage that way. So they're all smart thermostats. It's a great tool to have. If you don't already have one, you can control it from your phone or your tablet. I like to use it when I go on vacation, set my thermostats back, and then as I make my way home, gradually increase the warmth in the house so it's back to normal when I get there. Next slide, please. I mentioned earlier the home insulation and windows. This is a rebate we offer only in Minnesota. Residential insulation, this is for existing homes only, can get up to $2,800 in rebates. And then new windows, this could be for new construction or retrofit. As long as the windows are Energy Star rated, there is a $25 per window rebate. And these rebate programs that I'm talking about all have to be purchased since January 1st of 2024. Go ahead. Smart thermostats, I've already covered that. We can go ahead. These are new rebates for this year. They're in Minnesota only. And this is for electric push mower, rider mowers, snow blowers, and the lawn tools such as weed trimmers and leaf blowers. You go ahead and you buy them at your local retailer, grab a copy of your invoice, fill out our rebate form, send it to us, and we will cut you a rebate check for those items as well. Go ahead. We also offer rebates on Energy Star appliances. And Energy Star appliances are heat pump, water heater, refrigerator, freezer, dishwasher, clothes washer, dryer, heat pump, clothes dryer, an induction cooktop, air purifier, dehumidifier. We also offer appliance recycling for at least 10 cubic feet up to 27 cubic feet of refrigeration, and the same for freezers, a window air conditioner, or a dehumidifier. They do have to be in working condition, but not necessarily efficient. And for those, you just call us, we set up a time to come and pick them up, and you get your check cut to you after we've picked them up and recycled them. Next. New this year is electric vehicle rebate for residential customers, $3,000 for a new electric vehicle, $1,500 for a new hybrid electric, or $1,500 for a pre-owned electric, or $750 for a pre-owned hybrid. Now they must be purchased from a dealer or directly from the original equipment manufacturer. It does not, we cannot rebate person to person or private sale vehicles. But in addition to our rebates, there are federal tax incentives available as well as state programs. So those have limited funds, but it can add up pretty significantly. Go ahead. We also offer a residential charging station rebate of $500 per hardwired charger, as long as it's on an off-peak rate. Go ahead. You might want to click a few times. This kind of has a graphic where it pulls in different things. So click several times. This is showing like a whole home rebate for new construction, 15 kW of thermal storage on a controlled rate, a 3-ton ducted heat pump with a plenum heater, 50 LED lights at 10 watts, an 80-gallon storage water heater, an Energy Star appliances, smart thermostat, an electric vehicle, electric hardwired charger, and then electric equipment. Those are potentially all the different rebates that a new home could have. If we go to the next slide, this shows you what those rebates could total. Those rebates then could total up to just under $10,000 potentially for this new home. So it does have a significant impact for the customer when they're considering building a home. And we're trying to get all of our customers aware of these rebates and incentives that are available for them. Go ahead. Lastly, we have EV charging stations. Just was kind of more for your information throughout the state of Minnesota. The blue cars are our fast charging network, and the green cars are level 2. And the ultimate goal was for customers in Minnesota to be able to charge their electric vehicles every 60 miles throughout our service territory. I went through that pretty quick. Does anybody have any questions?
Great. Well, thanks, Lori. If there are any questions, we will be sharing Lori's contact information as well as mentioned, and but feel free to again drop it in the chat if you think of it a little later, or jump on right now. I'll give a pause for anyone to jump on with any questions. Well, lots of good information, Lori, and I think as we think about housing investment, I mentioned new construction, but we also are thinking about preservation and rehab of our existing housing stock that we have in Otter Tail County, how to make it efficient, how to make it functional, and certainly operating expenses of owning a home, and those costs are a big concern to folks. And so any ways we can help make those homes more efficient from a heating and cooling standpoint would be great. So appreciate Otter Tail Power's willingness to come on today and for getting these programs out into the community more.
I'm happy to be here, and like I said, feel free to reach out if you have any questions. I will let you know that I am retiring in the month of June. So I'm going to add to the chat the other energy management rep here in Fergus Falls. I will add his business card here. So if you have any questions, you'll be able to reach him if you can't get a hold of me.
Okay. Well, thanks, Lori, for that update as well. Wish you best if we don't see you before that retirement happens. So
yeah, thank you.
Awesome. All right. Well, we'll kind of change directions a little bit and move on to our next item today, and that is a new program that has been launched from Minnesota Housing, from the state of Minnesota, and it is the first generation Homebuyer loan program. And what this program relates to, and we're not the administrator of it, we're just sharing information today, so that's my disclaimer number one, but we're happy to try to navigate any questions. I'll start with the QR code that's on the screen. It will take you right to Minnesota Housing's website to get into more details, but really the core of it is looking at a first generation home buyer. So what does that mean? That is someone who has not owned a home, or their parents or legal guardian, so that generation above, have never owned a home, or if they did, they may have owned a home but lost it due to foreclosure. And so those are kind of the primary qualifications. Looking at you or your parents or legal guardians have not owned a home. So that's who's eligible. And what it provides is for deferred loans that can be used for down payment, closing costs, one point I want to make is that it does need to be combined with a Minnesota housing startup first mortgage. And we have many lenders in Otter Tail County and the surrounding areas that use that program. And so as far as the mortgage access for that, and we work to connect people with that program here through the county as well. If there's any lenders on the call today and you aren't one of those lenders that works with Minnesota Housing on their programs, there is a link on that page as well to get signed up as a lender for the startup mortgage, first mortgage program, or some of the other Minnesota Housing products. And we'd love to have as many lenders as possible participating in the Minnesota Housing program so that, again, our local residents, if they're a customer of yours, that they're able to access those programs as well. So this program is open now. There is going to be another program associated with first generation home buying that will be coming out. It's going to look a little different, and I'm not going to talk about that one today because it's not open yet, but I will mention that our partners in Detroit Lakes at MMCDC is going to be a primary partner on that program. So this one is direct through Minnesota Housing, again, with lenders who are part of the Minnesota Housing Startup First Mortgage Program for those. It's available statewide, so we want to make sure that we are leveraging this resource to help individuals who are aspiring to get into home ownership, who, again, are in that first generation scenario, and knowing with where home prices have landed in the last couple of years and or more, that it's important to have these resources available for individuals to tap into and become realize that dream and goal of theirs to become a home owner. So again, new program for Minnesota Housing, particularly for our lenders and realtors who might be on the call today, are also thinking about, I know there's a number of employers on the call. This might be something to share out with your workforce. If you know you have potential folks who are working at your organization that might be interested in home ownership and might not just be able to have that down payment assistance or get that down payment put together. So, but we also have a local program for down payment assistance, and Tanya Westra, our housing program supervisor, is going to talk about our program and how folks can tap into it. So go ahead, Tanya.
Well, good afternoon. We've talked about this program quite a few times over the last few years, but we have updated some of our terms this year. So I'll just give a high-level overview with those changes if you have not, or if you're not aware of them. But our down payment assistance is a 0% interest loan that's repaid at the time of sale, mortgage refinance, or the term of the first mortgage. We have increased our borrowing power, I should say, but income qualified borrowers can receive up to 6% of the purchase price, and there's a maximum of $15,000. As before, a borrower must have at least 2% of the purchase price to contribute towards the down payment, and that down payment assistance can be used for purchase of an existing home or new construction. If somebody is doing a new construction project and they want to utilize down payment assistance, we encourage them to contact us early. It takes a little more coordination than purchasing an existing home in Otter Tail County. But just a reminder that the home must be their primary residence and include a homestead property tax classification, and it must be located within Otter Tail County, but outside the city limits of Fergus Falls. Next slide. As far as when to apply, we encourage borrowers to contact our office before submitting an application. Right now, we do have a lot of applications coming in, and it helps to know what to expect in the near future, just to manage workflow and funds, quite honestly. We just want to make sure that we don't run out, and if we can see that all the funds are going to be expended, that we can catch it early and relay that information out. But optimally, when somebody wants to apply, they would submit their application at the time that the purchase agreement has been executed, but at least 30 days before closing, because that gives us enough time to get all of our documentation in line, make sure that the property inspection has been completed, and a check sent out for that down payment assistance. If there's any questions, we can certainly answer those, or feel free to contact our office for more specific information.
Great, thanks, Tanya. And as mentioned, we have seen an uptick of applications, which is great. We want to make sure that we're helping support people getting into those homes, and but as mentioned, we also need to manage workload and make sure we're able to respond in timely ways. So that 30 days is just keeping that in mind is important. Have to be ready, but not not too close to closing to get that going forward. And really, it's the borrower who should be reaching out to us. We hope get the referrals out from all of our partners about the program, but it is the borrower that needs to coordinate with us for that application. Just as it is a loan, it's deferred, but it is a loan that they will be entering into. So, any questions on the down payment program? Otherwise, we will have a link to all of our housing programs at the end of the presentation. And again, the slide deck will be sent out, and you can find more information on the county's website on there. All right, so moving on to kind of our project highlight, and this convening, it is a project that we are leading in Pelican Rapids called Pinewood Estates. And the aerial shot here, it looks a little different now. We've had demolition happen and of that little building that's in the middle of that treed area, and a number of those trees have come down too to make way for a new development. So this site was the previously used by Otter Tail County as a highway garage facility. So that's what the structure that was there was used for. The highway department did build a new location that consolidated a number of smaller garage sites from that side of the county and made available this site for redevelopment. And so we, as the community development agency side of our work, was provided the land. And if you want to go to the next slide, Sarah, the kind of showing where it is in Pelican Rapids here. So the purple outlined site is the just over 3-acre site just west of Highway 59 and City Hall, kind of right in a existing residential neighborhood. And so last year we worked to get the site platted, and it has been platted into 9 single family lots. I think we have the plat showing here. Yep, on the next, showing how that will lay out with a cul-de-sac serving that site for new single family residential development. So as mentioned, this was a redevelopment site, and so to help offset the costs of preparing the site for development and installing the infrastructure, which is the biggest cost, not surprising, I'm sure, to most, but with that redevelopment district, we'll be able to reimburse the Community Development Agency for its expenses in getting this project ready for development. So that's on the kind of the site development side. We have the redevelopment tax increment financing that was approved just last week and is in place now. We have worked with the City of Pelican Rapids to put together the infrastructure plans, and the city is leading that work to install the sewer, water, streets, et cetera, for the project, with an agreement from us that we will be covering those expenses, all the expenses related to the project. Additionally, we were awarded funding from Minnesota Housing through their Impact Fund that will support starting the construction of anticipate 3 new homes on that site that we will work to build those with the partners to get the housing out of the ground on that. Knowing with in Pelican Rapids there is, and many of our communities around Otter Tail County and beyond, that cost to build a new single family home exceeds what that home will appraise for in that community. So with that high construction cost, it makes it very difficult for an entry-level buyer, a new buyer, to come in to build a new construction home, and really limiting the development of kind of that entry-level market home, under 2,000 square feet, kind of looking at that. So Minnesota Housing did award us funding that will make up that difference of construction to appraised value, or what that home will ultimately sell for. And then also interim construction financing. So over the next month or so, we will be working with our board of directors to lay out the final process of what soliciting and finding our partner builder will look like. We did just sign the Minnesota Housing grant award in the last week. So a lot of things coming together right now. So this was good timing to kind of share out where we're at. And so that little timeline is what I walked through now, just now. And so for this summer, it really indicates that installation of the infrastructure on the site, and with anticipated by this fall that there will be those single family lots available for development. Those lots, there will be lots for sale for people to purchase and build on. And then again, we'll be direct building on likely 3 of those lots, and then selling them to new home buyers. So that's kind of a snapshot of what we're working on in Pelican Rapids, and that's the first time that we've acted as kind of that developer and coming in for this larger scale type project versus being maybe a financial partner in a project, but instead taking the lead in this project. So we're excited. We're excited to work with the city of Pelican Rapids on getting this project off the ground and see what an impact it'll have in the community. So that's, I think, all of us going to share on that project. Happy to answer questions on our project in Pelican Rapids, or anything else that we shared today, as well as anything else housing related that we can answer. I think on our, like I said, we do have the link to our other housing, all of our housing resources that I mentioned. So in addition to the down payment assistance, we have other programs that are available for rehab or gap financing on new construction for multifamily, and kind of across the spectrum. So if there's any questions, we're always happy to answer, try to find the right resource that can fit with the need. I do see a question popped in the chat here. The projected sale price of the new homes, that will be done through an appraisal process of what those homes will sell for. But I guess we would anticipate, I think I can safely say, under 300,000 will be that sale price. And Tanya, you can kick me through the door if I'm wrong on that number. But
no, I think that's pretty close. When we submitted the application last year for a 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom home, it was anticipated to be 280,000 at that time, but that was a year ago. So,
yep, great, thanks, Tanya. Does that answer your question, Donald? And there'll be a qualified buyer will be indexed to the, I don't want to get into technical, 115% of the median income of this from the state of Minnesota. So those numbers are just getting updated kind of this month. And so we'll have updated numbers for the income qualification of a household. But for a household of 3, kind of in that 125 to 130,000 is what we would anticipate. But we'll have those final numbers coming out. So a household income, again, for a family there, looking in that. So we're always conscious of that with that sale price as well. Cost of lots themselves, the assessed value, which might not be our list price. So I can tell you the assessed value because we looked at that from the as we were setting up the tax increment financing district. And the lots are all about the same size. They don't vary too much. But looking at the assessed value, which again, I'll just say is not necessarily what the sale price will be, but between 12 and 13,000 is where they were coming out from an assessed value perspective. Other questions? So the Pelican Rapids project is really, as we've talked about when we started our housing efforts back in 2019, 2020, we were really sharing information, sharing about resources, but didn't have our own capacity or financial ability to be too much a part of a project. And we've been slowly able to build our capacity and our resources to be able to have a higher level of involvement in different types of projects. And so we're excited if there's, we have a lot of projects underway and kind of in the pipeline right now, but as we look ahead, knowing it takes time to put these projects together, we're always interested in hearing about opportunities in our communities or how we might partner together to help make a project move forward. So that would be kind of my last comment about housing is always keep us in mind, contact us if there are the opportunities, if there's private interest in getting a project moving, but there's a financial gap, we can either help look at what might there be for resources from our partners at Minnesota Housing or other agencies, as well as locally, what might be a tool to help fill that gap and help a project move forward. So just always keep us in mind as a technical resource for finding those resources, but potentially even being a partner in a project. Ben, I see you raised your hand. Go ahead.
Sorry, I had to join late, and if I missed this, but is there anything on the federal side that you see as like a hindrance or could be enhanced to help with all that you're trying to do locally or that you access through the state?
Sure. So yeah, thinking federally, we do look at USDA rural development as where does that fit into a project or rehab of existing units. We didn't talk about federal resources today specifically, though we have had those meetings with our USDA reps and others to make sure we're aware and have provided some input back on what where maybe it didn't meet, but it certainly our resources and with some of the shifts that are being talked about could be maybe able to be better leveraged going forward. Okay, other questions? Okay, do the awkward silence. All right. Well, always know we're available for questions or comments going forward. And as mentioned, we will share out this slide deck and different information about things that were talked about today. So if you were forwarded this calendar invite and want to be included in the future, please let us know or drop your email in the chat in case we don't have it on our contacts. And otherwise, just watch that follow-up email and always keep us in mind to be a partner on housing investment throughout Otter Tail County. Thanks, everyone. Have a good day.